Morning guys, I've excelled myself this morning. It is 3:36 a.m. I know, some of you are going to be thinking this lad's committed, some of you are going to be thinking this lad's crazy, but I've been up since 2 o'clock thinking about this car and what I need to get done, so I don't feel tired. I've had plenty of sleep, so I'm good to go. Right, so last night I came to a bit of a halt with this car. A bit of an unexpected issue, to be honest, and I think it's why I woke up so early thinking about it. My plan was eventually to rewire this car, and it became quite apparent yesterday as soon as I started to get involved in just a little bit of wiring. A problem which I knew was there kind of become, for me, an even bigger problem. And that was just how much wiring in this car is not used and is, I think, causing me bigger issues just because there's certain places I physically cannot get into because it's packed full of wiring. These old 80s cars, especially 205s, that have been passed through owner after owner, that have had multiple immobilizers and alarms and stuff fitted and stereos tapped into looms in different places. This loom in this car is a mess, I'm not going to lie. So I'm here this morning and I'm going to get committed. I'm going to pull all the original loom out of this car. Something I said I wasn't going to do until the Christmas period, but I can't put this car back together with the loom as it is. It's just not going to work for me. So yeah, I'm here bright and early Saturday morning to rip the loom out, and I personally think it's going to be quicker and easier starting afresh than trying to work with the complete mess that's in there, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. So this is what I am dealing with in here, guys. This part on the floor down here is part of my universal K-swap loom. That's not an issue. This is a new part that I've put in yesterday. Again, that's not an issue. I know what I'm doing with all that. My issue comes with all of this here. This fuse box that's tucked up here. All this wiring that's hanging down under here. Barely any of this is used or needed anymore. And it's just causing me no end of issues. So I have made the decision to just kind of get involved and rip it all out and start again. I know this is going to cost me a little bit of time. I say cost me a little bit of time. I'm not sure that it even is, because I was getting myself so worked up yesterday trying to figure this old wiring out. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. I'm not even sure it is going to cost me time. It might even save me time just by ripping it out and starting again. So that's my plan. I've got a good friend coming down this morning to help me out. He's going to get stuck into some of this wiring, so I feel that it might also help him if I've got a lot of this out of the way before he gets here. So I'm going to crack on and I'm going to get a load of this wiring cut out, and yeah, we can start afresh and it's going to be so much neater. I'm pretty sure of that. As you can see, it's light outside now. It's 8:15. Been cracking on. So I've made this posh little bracket. For the whole time I've had this car, for the whole time I've had this built, my ECU's just been sat in my footwell. Not great really for an expensive bit of kit. So this bracket's probably way overkill It's took me far too long to make, but it's come out really well and I'm really happy with it. So have a little look, see what you think. So this is it basically. So that is going to sit on there like that. And it will give me full access to the end of there. And then that little piece on the end there, that is for my relays to clip into. So that is how it looks with my relays in place and my ECU in place. I think that all fits in there really tidy. It's quite a smart little bracket. So this is now going to fit down into my footwell, and it will hold all that really nicely. I have now as well, like I said I was going to do this morning, that there is my wiring loom. I literally ripped the whole lot out. So now it is very, very empty in here, but how much cleaner does it look? That looks way better without all that wiring hanging down. Yes, I've got a lot more wiring now to do, but in the grand scheme of things, that's going to be far better, far, far better. So I'm really, really pleased that I did that. It was on my brain, and yeah, I'm glad I went ahead and did that. So yeah, I'm going to go get some grub in a minute, because I've been here since 3:15 this morning and I've not eaten yet, and I'm feeling like it's breakfast time. So let's go get some food. So there we go. That is that bracket all screwed in place in a footwell. And I think that looks absolutely amazing. I might be biased, obviously, but that looks great. I've got my fuse box this side mounted to my battery, and yeah, everything should hook up to that absolutely lovely. I'm going to go now and I'm going to get my ECU installed onto that plate. And there we go, that's my ECU in place. Obviously there's a cover to go over the front of that, so it'll be protected, but you can see my my relays are tucked in just over there, ECU's there. That's all looking pretty fresh in there now. I'm liking that a lot. Also, a couple of you got in contact with me and said this panel needs to be black, so the audience spoke and I delivered. So that's black, ready to go in. Quite excited to get that fitted now, to be honest. I've started to just wire up this, which is going to be my power on and off, so that is physically working now. There we go, 12.7, that's really posh. And then obviously you just kill that, turn it off. So that's obviously going to sit in that panel, but now I've got a bit of power, I can start to wire things up. Sunday morning and we are back on the 205. Did have a pretty productive day on it yesterday, from myself, and thanks to a good a few friends which showed up, which was massively helpful. I had Chris here. He was doing some electrics for me whilst I can do them. Certainly no expert. So it was really nice to have him here helping me, chipping in, which he did an excellent job of. So I'm going to show you around that in a minute. He also brought his good wife Chelsea down with him, and she did a job which I didn't even really think about, but she saw it, she cracked on, and you know what? I'm actually stood looking at it now, and it looks a million times better. So if you're watching, Chelsea, thank you so much, because this wasn't really a job that I thought about, but she cleaned all my windows, and that sounds funny, but these windows were absolutely covered in spatter and welding spatter, etc. And I mean, I'm rubbing my hand over that now, and it feels great, and they look great as well. So thank you very much for that, because yeah, I can't say it was necessarily a job which I had on my to-do list. I'm sure I would have got around to it at some point, but what a brilliant job she did of that. So I'm very grateful. Another job which a friend of mine came down and done, which again, I wouldn't have had on my to-do list, but I've come in this morning and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, that looks excellent. Is this. A friend of mine, Carlton, he showed up yesterday, thank you Carlton, and he saw I had my steering column out, and he just trimmed any old brackets off of it that I didn't need anymore and put a coat of black paint on it. And that looks really neat and really tidy. So I'm really happy with that, because, yeah, that's going to make a big difference to how it was previously. So yesterday, we also got, again, with help from the other guys, I got my brake fluid in, my clutch line working. So I now have clutch. I now have front brakes. I had an absolute nightmare with one of my lines. Let's be honest, it would have been amazing if I'd have made all these lines up and not a single one of them would have leaked, but I haven't done an awful lot of work with these AN3 fittings, and they can be a little bit tricky. So I put it all together, obviously, and one of them started leaking when we were bleeding it. So I had to take it all apart again, and because it kind of isn't a twist fitting, it kept wanting to wind the brake line up, and it was just, yeah, it was just causing me aggro. So I ended up taking a brake caliper off just so that I could spin the line and get it how it needed to be. I couldn't even, with this particular fitting, I couldn't even go online, buy a different fitting and then replace it. It just wouldn't have worked out. So yeah, I ended up taking a brake caliper off, sorting that leak out, just because I would rather do that now than know it's there and not have done it, if that makes sense. So that's done, and we now have front brakes, which is very, very good. I've got one fitting that I need to do today, and then I'm going to have back brakes. So that's good, because, yeah, that's all my braking system and obviously my clutch done. Yeah, so this morning I'm going to crack on with my fuel tank. My welding set has come, and I do just want to give these guys a quick mention as well, just because, even though it's been an absolute pain getting this welding set, that's down to the courier company. Now, Artec Welding, who I've had all my welding gear off, they have been very helpful with getting this, in particular Daz from Artec, has been very, very helpful. And this new set that they've loaned to me is very, very posh. I like it. In fact, I'm going to buy one of these. I'm going to keep my old one as a... I'm still going to have it repaired. I'm going to keep that as just a backup set, but I'm going to buy one of these. So, as you can see, it's all fully digital. it is so smooth. It welds really, really well. Really, really happy with that. I'll just show you as well quickly what we've done, or what Chris has done, with the inside of this thing and getting certain bits and bobs working. There's still a lot of wires to put up out the way and stuff like that in here, so let me turn that light on, you might be able to see. Right, there we go. So yeah, ECUs down there. Like I said, take no notice of all the wiring that's everywhere, because this is all going to be tucked up out the way, kind of last job, if you like. But you can see my center console is in there now, and when turn that off, when we switch this on now, there we go, we've got power there, then on there, so we've got power there, and then ignition live there, which brings my ECU live. So on the bottom of my swirl pot there, I have welded on an AN8 fitting on there, which is going to go directly to my fuel pump. I have also as well, if you look in there, so I've put some baffles inside the tank as well. So as well as my swirl pot that we've got built into this, I've just chucked a couple of baffles in there, just so that when this thing's full, it'll help stop the fuel slosh about. So I've welded the base on it as well. So yeah, this isn't a million miles off finished now. I've got the AN6 return fitting to weld on it. Now once this is underneath the car, I might just look at what extra room I've got to see if I can put a slight extension on it. I was having a chat with my friend Chris yesterday, and we were just discussing the range I'm going to have on this thing with this small tank. Obviously, if I was just going to do track days in the UK, which most of my track days will be in the UK, it wouldn't be an issue. But since the first track day for this in a while is going to be Spa, which is a big circuit, and then the Nürburgring, which is obviously a massive circuit, I'm a little bit concerned about how long this is going to last before it's empty. So yeah, for now, I'm going to just weld an end on this. I'm going to get it up underneath the car, and I'm going to see where possibly I can maybe just put a small extension on it, just to carry slightly more fuel. One way or the other, I'll sort it. I'm not really going to know. This car has always been quite good on fuel. You know, Alton Park, etc. I've easily done a full track day on a tank and then an extra 25 litre jerry can that I've took with me. So it's not that bad on fuel, but there's always going to be a bit of a gamble. So yeah, we'll see. I'm going to get this finished, welded up, and then can hold it up in place and we'll go from there. So there we have it, guys. That is one fuel tank pretty much finished and installed. As you can see, I've got my swirl pot on the bottom of there now, which if you look from back here, it barely drops any lower than the car. I've made this little mount here where it goes up to the body there. I haven't put an extra bolt on there yet because this tank has got to come back off. The only thing I've got left to do is just put an inlet onto it, which is going to connect to my filler pipe up there to allow me to fill it from the original filler point. It's looking really good. Now obviously the plan now is to make a plate of some kind which sits on this bolt here and comes across, and that will house my fuel pump, my fuel filter and everything like that. So that will be kind of the finishing point for this. Boss is here. Yeah, so I'm really happy with that. This nice. It does, it looks good, doesn't it? Yeah. So this is an AN8 fitting on here, which will go directly then over to my fuel pump, which is going to be sat here, and fuel filter. And then I'll take my lines, I think I'm going to take them straight down underneath the car into the front, but I'm really happy with how that's come out. And then obviously I've got up here my AN6 line, which will be my return from the rail, which drops into this fuel swirl pot, so should keep that constantly full. And then the front just bolts in there. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. Like I said, I'm yet to see how this copes on Spa and the Nürburgring, just because of how much fuel it's going to hold. We've calculated it holds about 25 litres, so half the size of the original tank really, but hopefully it's going to be more than enough for UK track days. But as for Spa and the Nürburgring, I'm just going to have to take it steady, I guess, and figure it out. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to end this video here, and I'll bring another one throughout the week. As always, like, subscribe, share about, and yeah, thanks very much for watching.